What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be installing the Kibbetech upper control arms on the Ford Raptor.
So we did some pre-assembly on the upper control arms before we got started. One of the first things you're going to need to do is get some anti-seize to put on the threads of the rod ends. So I put anti-seize on the rod ends. You spin the lock nut all the way down onto the rod end to bottom it out. I marked the rod end for simplicity. Once it was all run in, this was the top. Spin the rod end out 4 times, 4 complete revolutions. Put the jam nut down, lock it down, and then there's a pinch bolt. You cinch up the pinch bolt and you're good to go. So that's the first step you're gonna do to prep the control arms before you put them on. You do that for all 4 rod ends.
Now that the prep is done on the upper control arms, the first step is going to be to loosen all the lugs on the front 2 wheels, and then we're going to get it lifted up so we can install them. We just got the other side done on the truck, and so now we're working on the passenger side. And so we have a good idea of all the steps that you're gonna have to take to get this process done. So hopefully we can help walk you all along the process and show you all some of the tips that we picked up from doing the other side. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is remove these 3 bolts and the one back here. And one's a 10, the other one's also a 10, and one's an 8. The thing you're gonna wanna watch out for is the 2 10s are actually different bolts, so just keep in mind which one you're taking off before you set them aside. As you can see here, we have all the tools laid out that you're gonna need. So we'll walk you along the process and point out which one we're using whenever we do something on the truck. So again, the first bolt is gonna be an 8. And the 2 others are 10s. Now that all this is off, we can kind of push it out of the way so we can have more room to work around the knuckle and upper control arm. The next thing that you're gonna wanna do is get this bolt down here loose, but leave just a couple of turns left so we can whack this and get the upper control arm loose from the knuckle. So take it off and then put it back on. Get a few twists in there. And then, okay, so my dad broke it loose. Now once this is loose, you're gonna wanna take a 21 and an 18. Your 21 is gonna go towards the front and your 18 is gonna go on the back. And then get this loosened up. So now that we have these 2 bolts loose and the nuts off, the main problem that we had on the other side was getting them out. And so as you can see here, you can't actually get this bolt out because it hits on the spring. The most efficient way we found was to loosen these lower shock bolts, and then one is a 1 1/16, and then the other is a 1 3/16 on this side. So once y'all get the bolt here out, it helps a little bit, but the next step that you're gonna wanna take is to take these 3 bolts up top out. loosen them just a little bit, don't take them fully off, and then that'll give enough play up here to get these bolts out. If y'all can skip this whole step and just take them out without having to do anything with the shock, go ahead and do it. But for us, on both sides, we're ending up having to loosen all this just to get this bolt out. Upper control arm's out. The main thing is just fiddling with this and being able to move it around so you can get this left side bolt out, or the inside bolt closest to the cab of the car. The bolts towards the front of the car, you can get out without even having to do anything with the shock, but it's this inside bolt that's gonna give you issues, or at least it's giving us issues. So this one was a little bit different. We didn't have to pop the bottom of the shock out, but instead loosened it all the way up here, took all these nuts off, and then we were able to get the bolt here pushed out with this, and now we're going to move on to installing the new upper control arm, which is right here. Now that the bolts and nuts are back in place, we're gonna tighten them up. We put these in the exact same way that we took them out, just so we can keep it as OEM as possible and in touch with what Ford has set up with the truck. Now that the upper control arm's where we want it to be, we're gonna get the shock back in place.
Because that, see how that turns? See that? So we don't want that, of course. So you want it kind of floating in the center. So to do that, either you could pinch it here, or with the provisions that it has to put the wrench on top of it.
All right, now after all of that, the upper control arm is pretty much almost done. Now we just have the finishing touches to do, which is gonna be to reinstall this and then put this cover on top of the upper control arm so dirt and stuff doesn't get in there. So this is gonna be pretty simple. It's just a reverse process of what we did before.
That are pretty stressed to ratchet. It's like long, and then they vary the diameter of the colors. Shop. So that way you know when they were tight, just hit it with tension.
All right, the truck's finished up. Pretty much, I mean, that was pretty smooth. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll try my best to answer them, even though, as y'all could probably tell, I'm not too inclined on this kind of stuff. I mean, everything looks lined up nice. The wheels haven't fallen off yet, so that's pretty good. Yep, I think it's pretty much a perfect install. So yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. Leave a comment down below. Leave a like on this video if you liked it, dislike if you hated it. Thanks for watching. Peace.